we've covered the capabilities, we've covered the processes. Let's talk about the resources. So we have the right crew, we have the right rocket. We need enough fuel to shoot for the stars and potentially even land on the moon. Um, Torbjörn, can you walk us through these buckets, and then let's have a discussion about them?
Yeah, sure. So resources, every rocket needs some fuel, right? We see it a little bit like that. There are different things, but they not all fuel is just cash, right? But it's certainly an important element. So the first one we have is just you need to have some cash in the bank, right? You need to you need to understand also different things here. So you need to understand finance, you need to understand your burn rate, you need to understand like how are you cost efficient. You need to kind of tap into soft funding. You need to be good at accessing a lot of free things, a lot of free services, a lot of free tools, and you need to be able to plan ahead. So when we say cash in bank, it's not only that you actually need the funding secured, it is also that you understand how to kind of use it well. Um, Runway management and financial advisory, which is something that we are very really good at in Bifrost. We have individual hires that kind of help people also a little bit with this, as we don't see it as every founder's biggest strength. Typically, they are pretty good with numbers, but they don't enjoy spending all their day in financial models and budgets. Then we also see it as a resource or fuel, how well you are able to leverage us. So by looking through that lens and having the buckets of like how well are you actually able to leverage whatever capabilities are internally in Bifrost, you're kind of be able to just get more by saying like, okay, we're really not performing well on this bucket in the Apollo framework. Can you help us? Then we say, yes, of course. We're your partner. We are very interested in your success. So that's one of them as well. Then there is one part that is maybe very underrated and can definitely be a game changer, or like at least break everything if it's not kind of okay. It's like the mental state of the team. That's also a resource. It's also part of the fuel. You need to, and it goes hand in hand also with the leadership sort of bracket. But you need people to individually perform. You need to make sure that they don't burn out. That's typically related to their talents, top talents, which is a framework we work with a lot. We even built a company around it that is doing pretty well already. You need to maybe have some element of coaching, at least from the leadership or within the team. This thing about working within your top talents, we can just touch upon it briefly because
Sure.
it's such a big thing for us. So one of our companies, Atlas People, is working with this framework developed by Gallup, like 25 years, 600,000 subjects. So it's very heavily researched. And it basically what it says is if you look at motivation and if you look at neurology, like from a neurological perspective, we all have different talents, and these talents they are the same, but they will be more pronounced on some dimensions for me than they will be for Jonathan. And if I work in my top talents, where I might be motivated, could maybe be a very targeted talent or a holistic talent for me, then I will 1 hours of work would seem like 10 minutes. But if I work in my bottom talents, which might be something like assessing something or something very specifically nerdy around some subject, then it will seem to me over time as 6 to 9 hours of work. And this is just something that people are starting to realize how much it actually matters. So from the mental state of the team, and this is also why hiring is so important. And that's also one of our brackets and something I know you work intensely with. And to make sure that everybody in the team is working within their top titles will in itself also make the mental state of the team much better. But anyways, so there's an important bracket here also about appreciating the people who work. Make sure you celebrate your triumphs. Make sure the people on a learning curve. Maybe make sure the people are also moving, getting some sports, eating well. So all of these things, they do matter a lot. In the fundability, there are certain components that we believe that kind of makes for great fundability. You need to have a kind of a great venture studio thesis so that you are focused, that you can kind of explain. You need to have some kind of brand established around, a place where sort of your studio lives, if you will. You need to have a team according to the crew kind of dimensions that can, so that you can show that, well, not only do we have the thesis, we also have the right people to kind of nail it, right? And you need to also have a financial model of sorts that will show how you're going to work with the resources that you have, and the resources that you're going to, if you are looking to fundraise, it is about fundability. And yeah, typically what we do is kind of create some kind of deck with where you can kind of put all of this together. And what happens when you make a deck, by the way, is also that everybody gets on the same page with a lot of these things. So it's also a great exercise for the team anyways, to just kind of make sure that everybody is aligned. And if you have all these things, you kind of become pretty fundable. And the reason why it's important then is, like, let's say that you are not at a default alive stage yet. So in VC, you are default dead, because you are, if you run out of money, you're dead. But we work, because we work towards a very strong path to profitability. We kind of say, can we find a way where we can get strong enough revenue so that we are default alive and have this kind of evergreen model, right? But let's say that you're not there yet, but you still have interesting stuff you're working on. You have traction. You have a lot of different things working for you. Then you can go out and fundraise for the studio itself to just make sure that you can prolong your, until you kind of reach that stage where you can succeed. Yes.
Great. And the final bucket in our kind of resources or fuel segment of this framework is the capacity. And what do we mean when we say capacity? You can have the perfect team, you can have the perfect process, but if everybody is operating at limit, you'll never have the bandwidth to start new stuff, right? And that's ultimately what we're after with Venture Studios. So there are a couple of components we look for in terms of managing capacity. And one of the kind of maybe surprising ones is, how good are you at killing unpromising ideas? So capacity is one of those resource constraints that we have. And so we want to make sure our team is always gravitating towards the kind of highest output idea or the highest output activities. And that's a very overlooked thing in Venture Studio, that people who come from startups or a more traditional entrepreneurial journey, they're just in that one thing and they will do whatever to make it succeed. But here we have the optionality to work on something else and kill what's not that promising before over-investing potentially, right? So we can grab the resources from that and reallocate them to something else. So I would say that's the most important thing. But then it's also about, how do we leverage tools? How do we leverage our people with, say, freelancers or low-cost hires across the world, so that we can maintain a rather small team, but constantly bump up their capacity to work on things. So yeah, that kind of
I think it's very befitting, actually. It's the last kind of bucket we have, because your capacity will go vastly up if you get all of the other things right.
It will.
So, because then you have all the people you need, you have all the processes you need, you have all the resources, you have the right sequencing, you have people with the right mental state firing and on all cylinders. If something goes wrong, you can raise money. You basically know how to do everything, and you know how to hire people, so you can also increase your capacity, right? But it's there is a lot of kill your darlings sort of things also in the studio environment, because maybe we've just pivoted a little bit, but you also have to just say, it is one of the strengths that we can just take the next idea and the next idea, and then still take the learnings from whatever we did and make it a little bit better next time, because in the end, it is just a skill to create a business in itself as well.
It is.